My name is Trevor Dennis, and I'm here to explain the refrigeration cycle to you. And I'm using this Train XR11 air conditioning unit right here as my demonstration. Here, if you want to come take a look at the system right here. This is the outside condenser, which also has the compressor in it. And as you can see, it has this fan right up there that blows off the heat. Okay, now if you come down here, I'm going to explain the refrigeration cycle to you. First, I'm going to take off this panel right here. You just use a 5/16 nut runner to take that off, or 5/8, excuse me. And right in here is all the electrical components of the air conditioning unit. Right here you have the capacitor. There's the switch that, gives the system a calling for cooling. So basically when there's a call for cooling inside, it's going to hit that switch and trigger the system to start up. Okay, and right here is your refrigerant line. This small one is the discharge line, which means that the refrigerant's going to be flowing inside with that one. This right here is the suction line, and this is a gas line right here. And I'll explain that again when I walk you through the system. But basically, the refrigerant's going to start in here inside the compressor, and the compressor is going to compress it, and it's going to be a high-pressure, superheated vapor when it leaves the compressor. From the compressor, it's going to flow into the condenser coils, which are the coils that go around the air conditioning unit. There's copper coils in there. And basically, in there, it's going to still be a high superheated vapor, but it's going to condense into a liquid. And it's basically going to lose its heat through this fan. It's going to blow off the heat from the refrigerant into the air. And at the end of the condenser, it's going to be 100% saturated vapor. It's going to be a high saturated vapor. So that means when it leaves the condenser, it'll be a saturated liquid that's also at a high pressure. Then it's going to travel from the condenser outlet through this small discharge line into the evaporator inside. So I'll take you inside in here and show you the evaporator. Right here is the furnace, and the evaporator coil is actually hooked to part of the furnace, so you wouldn't even know it's part of the air. The average person wouldn't know it's part of the air conditioning system or heating and air tech would. Right in here is your evaporator coil. I didn't take the cover off to show you the coils because it's sealed in, and you want to keep that air sealed best you can. You only take it off for maintenance, and then you re-silicone it shut. But basically, in here is the copper evaporator coils. And what the evaporator does is it evaporates the liquid, basically, vaporizes the liquid into a gas. And so that liquid refrigerant came out of the liquid line, and it goes up through the wall, comes down right here into the evaporator, gets vaporized into a gas. Well, actually, before the evaporator, it goes to the thermostatic expansion valve. I forgot to cover that. And that's a metering device that basically reduces the pressure and regulates the flow of refrigerant. And from the thermostatic expansion valve, it's going to leave as a high-pressure, subcooled liquid, and it's going to flow into the evaporator coils where it becomes saturated. And that's where it becomes, when it's saturated, it's moving from a liquid to a vapor, or vapor to a liquid. And in the evaporator, it's moving from a liquid to a gas, or a vapor. So in the middle of the evaporator, it's saturated, and then it boils off into a gas, and leaves the evaporator coil as a low superheated gas. And it leaves through the big gas line, which, as you recall, was the suction line out there on that exterior part of the unit. So the refrigerant flows up through here as a gas, back up through the wall, and back out to the outside again, where it then enters the compressor. And it enters the compressor as a low superheated gas. So right here we have the refrigerant entering the compressor via the suction line as a low superheated gas. And basically it flows in there back into the compressor where it's compressed into a high superheated gas. Then it flows into the condenser again where it's again condensed into a liquid. The whole process is starting over again. But basically the way the refrigeration process works is by turning the gas, by changing the pressure and temperature in the refrigerant, you're removing heat from the inside of the house and blowing it off through this fan on the outside. And that's how the refrigerant cycle works. Thanks. Have a good day.